Hey everyone, and welcome to the Mytec Solutions news brief for July 2nd, 2026. Today we're diving into a brand new, highly urgent cybersecurity development, and honestly, it's one that directly impacts how professionals, especially those of you in the legal field, handle sensitive communications. In this explainer, we're going to break down a really critical blog post from Mytec Solutions that details a major shift in how threat actors are bypassing world-class encryption. So let's just get right into it. Back in late June 2026, the FBI and CISA dropped a joint advisory. Now, usually this is the kind of advisory that folks outside the national security bubble might just kind of skim and file away. But as this quote from the Mytec blog highlights, you absolutely shouldn't ignore this one. The advisory outlines that Russian intelligence services, specifically groups linked to FSB border guard officers and Russian military intelligence, have rolled out a brand new tactic. And here's the kicker. They aren't even trying to break Signal's encryption code. Nope. Instead, they are socially engineering users into literally volunteering their backup recovery keys. So what does this all mean? What's the prize for these attackers? Well, it's your complete message history. And that is exactly what makes this tactic so devastating. If an attacker gets their hands on your recovery key, they walk away with the whole shebang. All your past conversations, details on active matters, client strategy discussions, whistleblower identities, you name it. Everything you confidently assumed was locked down tight by Signal's famous end-to-end encryption is suddenly sitting right in an attacker's lap. The encryption itself didn't fail. The attackers were just handed the master key to the vault. Which brings us to Section 1, Anatomy of the Attack, specifically focusing on the human vulnerability. The playbook they use here is shockingly straightforward. State-sponsored actors test these methods, and then they eventually trickle down to criminal groups. Here's how it plays out. Step 1, impersonation. The operative texts or emails the target, posing as someone they trust, maybe Signal support, your own firm's IT department, or even a colleague. Step 2, they run a scripted fake update. According to the FBI, these scripts read exactly like a legitimate support ticket. They might say, hey, we're doing a mandatory two-factor rollout to protect your messages. And then, step 3, extraction. By the end of the super convincing chat, the target just copies and pastes their recovery key right into the attacker's window. 64. That's the exact number of characters in a Signal backup recovery key. You see, Signal lets you enable encrypted backups, and those are protected by this specific 64-character string. And honestly, that's all the attacker needs. Just a quick copy-paste of 64 characters by a well-meaning associate or paralegal who thinks they're just following an IT mandate, and boom, the gates are wide open. The social engineering is so polished that most people wouldn't even bat an eye. But guys, here is where the nightmare truly begins. There is absolutely no changing the password here. If you surrender that 64-character key even once, the attacker can restore the account's backup and read the entire archive. And it gets worse. Let's say the victim realizes their mistake, panics, and creates a brand new Signal account on the exact same phone number. It doesn't matter. The attacker can still use the old key to decrypt the old backup. It's a permanent compromise of all historical data tied to it. Okay, so we have to ask the obvious question. Why is this specifically a law firm problem? Why should legal pros care about Russian intelligence tactics? Well, it's because law firms are using Signal more than ever right now. Over the last year, we've seen major breaches of email and document systems at big law firms by ransomware groups. So in response, partners working on highly sensitive litigation or M&A started using Signal as a secure fallback. Clients request it, sources absolutely insist on it. But this massive wave of adoption has essentially painted a giant target on the backs of legal teams. And this is where a tricky cybersecurity tactic crashes headfirst into legal ethics. ABA Model Rule 1.6 requires attorneys to make reasonable efforts to prevent unauthorized disclosure of client info. In 2026, reasonable efforts means you have to understand the social engineering angles that bypass your tech entirely, not just software bugs. If someone at your firm hands a Signal key over to fake IT support, your top-tier encryption is meaningless. Months of privileged conversations are gone. This isn't just an IT headache, it is a severe Rule 1.6 compliance crisis masquerading as a simple phishing scam. To put that into perspective, let's look at modern defense. On one side, we have end-to-end encryption. Signal is incredible at this. It protects your data in transit, keeping eavesdroppers out. But on the other side, we have social engineering. And social engineering, it sidesteps the math completely. The encryption holds strong, but the attack goes through the user, the person holding the key. You can have the heaviest, most secure vault door on the planet, but if someone just talks your employee into handing over the combination, well, the vault is useless. And we know this isn't just theory. Just look at this timeline of recent law firm attacks.
First, UNC 3753 sent operatives physically walking into law firm offices. Then, the silent ransom group called front desk staff pretending to be IT. And just recently, in June 2026, we saw the Louis Brisbois phishing incident. The common thread here is undeniable. Attackers consistently bypass technical defenses by targeting the people directly. This signal backup key theft, it's just the latest spin on that exact same playbook. So, moving on to Section 2, defending your law firm with actionable steps. The Mytec Solutions blog lays out 4 absolutely crucial strategies to implement right now. First, you have to actually understand who at your firm uses Signal and why. Where do those privileged communications live? Second, strongly consider disabling backups. Third, you've got to brief your staff on these exact specific scenarios. And fourth, build robust verification protocols. Let's zoom in on a couple of these to see what they look like in the real world. When it comes to backups, the Mytec blog hits the nail on the head. Treat the recovery key like a root password. Honestly, Signal backups are a convenience feature. They're not a core security requirement. For a law firm handling highly privileged communications, the minor convenience of having your chat sync across devices is almost never worth the risk of a massive breach. The smartest move? Just disable backups entirely for firm-related accounts. But if you absolutely must have them on, that key cannot ever be sent in a message. It needs to be locked away in a business-grade password manager. Then we have this idea of out-of-band verification. This is completely non-negotiable. If anyone, whether they claim to be Signal, your IT desk, or a vendor, asked for credentials, keys, or account info, your staff cannot just reply on that same chat window. They have to verify through an out-of-band channel. Actually, to put it simply, that just means calling a known, trusted internal phone number, not the one the stranger just gave them. Or, even better, physically walking down the hall to the IT department to say, "Hey, are you guys actually running a Signal update right now?" Which brings us to a really critical question to leave you with today. Is your firm's security culture actually strong enough to stop the next social engineering attack before that key gets surrendered? Those vague, once-a-year security training videos? Yeah, they won't cut it anymore. You need to be running tabletop exercises using the exact scripts the FBI provided. Your front desk, your admins, your partners, everyone needs to be ready. Because under ABA Rule 1.6, this level of readiness isn't optional. It's the new standard for reasonable efforts. Well, that wraps up our explainer on this critical vulnerability. Thank you so much for joining us. At Mytec Solutions, we are totally dedicated to helping professional services firms build the kind of layered security cultures that stop social engineering dead in its tracks. If you want to assess your firm's exposure, definitely reach out to us. And to stay ahead of the curve on the latest threats, please hit that subscribe button for the Mytec Solutions YouTube channel so you never miss an urgent news brief. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.